There's going to be three ways that we have to learn how to do systems. We did graphing yesterday. Today we're going to be doing substitution, and then we'll be doing elimination tomorrow a little bit. So here's how this works. Substitution is exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to take something and I'm going to substitute it into the other equation. So those of you that like dealing with equations more than graphing, right up your alley here. So here's how this is going to work. And just kind of watch on the one up here. This is just an example, and I was really wordy. So don't worry, it's not going to be like huge on every single one of these. One of your equations every time is going to be solved for x or maybe y. So like up here, you know it says x equals. Whatever's on the other side of that particular equation, I'm going to box in. Okay? So here, before we even get started any further, I want you to kind of move down here to those first two examples. I'll be right back up there in a minute. Find the one that says x equals and box the other side in. Because that'll be important once we get down to actually working on some of these. Because I'll keep talking about the box a whole lot. So get yourself boxed in on those two. I'm just going to come back up here and I'm going to show you how this works. So that first one where it's boxed in, we're going to substitute the equation that's already solved for into the other one. So I'm literally, in this case, going to take what's in the box because it says x equals. I'm going to plug it in for the x in the other equation. Just the x. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. I'm actually going to show you something that's not on the screen for right now. I'm going to put this little card over it so I can literally physically do this. So here's how this is going to work. Originally, my second equation is 3x minus 5y equals 25. Okay? My other equation is x equals y plus 7. We box that in. What I'm going to do is I am literally going to take that value where this x is right here, and I'm going to plug that in. So here's what it's going to look like. The 3 is still going to be there, but the x is going to get replaced by what's in the box. Everything else is going to stay the same. So the only thing that's changed in this whole situation is that now, instead of having two different variables in my equation, by substituting what's in the box in for x, notice now all I have is y. Why am I putting it there? Okay, because whenever I have an equation, I can only solve for one variable at a time. So if I were to happen to here leave the x in, I'd still have x's and y's, and I wouldn't be able to solve. I wouldn't be able to get a number answer for either one. By doing this substitution, and now only having y's, once I distribute, combine like terms and solve it, I'm going to be able to figure out what y equals. And then I'll be able to figure out x. It's going to be a kind of patience thing we're going to have to deal with here. But that's a good question. So it's like, well, why wouldn't I leave that there? It's literally going in for it. It's sort of like if you have a movie and they have a stunt double. They'll have the stunt double do the crazy, dangerous stuff, and then you let the star go back in and do the things like, you know, kiss the girl in distress and all that stuff like that. So, once I have this set, now I can go through and solve this. So I've got to deal with my parentheses next. And some of you are like, now where's he at? I've done all of it for you right here. But I just want you to be able to see me doing it. But you can kind of watch on yours, because I'm going to do the same thing. So once whoa, way out. So when I multiply that 3 times the y, and I multiply the 3 times the 7, now it kind of looks like on your sheet where it says number 2, where it says combine like terms, that's the step I'm on right now. So if you want to kind of work with me on this, I need to put my y's together. So if I got $3 and I go spend 5, how far in the hole am I? $2 in the hole. So now you kind of can start following along with what I'm doing right below there. It's like, okay, I see where Hardy's at. This is negative 2y plus 21 equals 25. If my goal is to get y by itself, to solve for y, how am I going to get that plus 21 out of there? Minus it. Flipped up, start giving answers. And again, you can see on my sheet now where my next step is coming from. So now I'm multiplying y by negative 2. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So I get my y value. Like, whew, whole lot to that. Now the nice thing is to find x is going to be like super duper uber quick. Well, why is that? Because when I know what y is, to figure out x, I'm just going to substitute it in. So my last step is to plug in this negative 2 for y. Absolutely. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. And I have my answer. Now, I'll write my answers in coordinates, but I'm not going to jump up and down and scream and yell if you don't. So since coordinates are always x then y, my answer would be 5, negative 2. Okay? And I'd have it. So this, as long as we take our time, isn't real bad. I'm going to try and really put in numbers on steps and everything to really help you get organized on this. But you've got to stay patient with it. This is going to be one of those where I'll give you like 6 or 8 problems for homework, and that's going to be it. I'm not going to go crazy with these. So, here's how this is going to work. And just did this. When we get down to the bottom and you actually get to work with me here, let me jumbo size this a little so you can actually see what's going on here. Whoa. And if it comes into focus, I don't think my eyes have gone that bad. Okay. Technology is wonderful until it goes weird. Okay. Yes, it's done. All right. So that box that we did before, okay, we're going to do this step by step. Step 1. I need to take what's in the box, and since it says x equals, this is literally going to go in where the x does. So here's how that's going to look. 5y plus, the x is gone now. It's been replaced by negative 3y. You don't have to, but sometimes I get confused when I see the plus and the minus right next to each other. But if you didn't want to, that's okay. But everything else stays the same, except the x is gone now. So maybe, like I said, maybe crossing it out might help you to remember that's got to go bye-bye. So here I've got 5 y's, but I want to take 3 of them away. How many have I got left? Okay, 2. Got 5, take 3 away. Got 2 left. And 5. So y equals 7. First job's done. So then the only thing I've got left is to solve for the variable that's left, which is x. So now this is y equals 7 replaces my y. So x equals negative 3 times 7. Because when I look here, x equals negative 3 times y, and I'm just replacing the y. So I'm still going to multiply. Negative 3 times 7. No, somebody's got it. Oh. Forget about the negative part with 3 times 7. 21. Now let's put a negative on it. So my answer is negative 21. 7. And again, even if you just get to the x and the y, that's fine. Okay? That's the big thing here. Can I get to that? But that's how we do this. It's those same couple of steps every time. So let's kind of look again here. And I'll get to a point where I'm going to have you practice one on your own for a little bit, but I just want to make sure we're okay first. We got the box ready. What variable are we plugging it into? X. So again, it goes where the X is over here. So here's my first step. Start copying this equation. 4, but the X goes away now. It gets replaced with what's in the box. If you really want to put a box there, do it. That's fine. But I got to copy the rest of the problem. We'll be able to put the y's together soon. We got to do one thing first. We got to get the parentheses out of it. Yeah, we're going to put the y's together in just a minute. Because now, with my parentheses here, I've got to distribute, which again is multiplying. I got to do it to the y and the 8. 4y. What's 4 times 8? Oh, help me out. Four times 8. All right. Oh, that's what I didn't write on here. This is the note sheet. Yeah, we're going to do examples of things. That's why it's kind of important to do examples of things. So now, Maddie, what you'd mentioned before, can I put the y's together? Yes, now I can. Yeah, when the parentheses are there, I can't put them together right away, because you're right, the parentheses are kind of blocking me from doing that. But now, I can put those together. 4 plus 2 is 6y. So now, if I want to get y by itself, what does my next step need to be? How do I get that 32 out of there? Subtract it. Okay? And again, if the whole adding and subtracting, multiplying with bigger numbers is an issue, use a calculator. That's okay. What's my last step going to be to get y by itself? Divide. Good, good, good. Okay, I've got my y, and again, that's always going to be the longest step. That first variable we solved is going to be what takes the longest. Because once I do that, my second step is always going to go really quick. Because I take the one that's already solved for x, and now that y that's there, well, I know what y is now. Y is negative 5. Plus 8 is 3. And I can write my answer as a coordinate if I want to. Again, these things we're going to be doing, the graphing yesterday, the substitution today, the elimination tomorrow, it's just like having more tools in the toolbox. It's like having your Swiss Army knife in math class. Figure out which tool you want to use and use it. But that's all we're up to on these. And I won't have one where it's not x or y equals for you right away. Speaking of, let me flip over here for a second, because I want to make sure that we understand everything that's going on here. So let's see. Let's find one that's going to be a little more interesting. Actually, let's do this. Let's go. We're going to do number 3, and I want to do number... Let's go for 3 and 8. I don't think I have too many other weird ones. So let me bring 3 down here. I don't want to go overkill. I want to help out again on a couple of the homework problems too, just to make sure we're going good. Now, this time, notice it's not x that's on the side by itself, it's y. That's okay. We'll always find that equation first. that has y equals or x equals. And before you ever start trying to do a problem, box the one that has x or y equals by itself. That's going to keep you from getting confused. Once you've got that first step, now this is y equals. So this time, we're going to plug it in where the y goes in the other equation. So you've got to be careful. They're not interchangeable. So I've got 2x plus 3, not y. What's in the box? Okay, the 3 is still going to be there, but the y goes away. So I just recopied the first equation, except y went away and what's in the box went in. And whenever we've got parentheses that are working on these, then it would just directly go into that slot. And I will find one like, okay, let me circle 7. We'll get that one. We'll get that one in too to let you see, because I hadn't thought about that. Good looking out. So here, I'm going to distribute my 3, the x, into the 4, and again, when we distribute, we multiply. And again, I have x's that I can put together. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's plus, so I don't have to worry about signs. 2 and 3 is 5. Now the goal becomes get x's alone. How do I get rid of the 12? Subtract it. Awesome. Don't worry if you end up with 0. That's okay. Perfectly legitimate. Because what's anything divided by? It's anything. 0 divided by anything equal. What's 0 divided by 5? 0. I got my x. And then my last step. Whoops. Got to do it with this one though. Get that arrow coming up here. Y equals, but I know what x is now. X is 0. 0 4 is 4. And I've got my answer. 0, 4. But I'm glad Maddie mentioned that. I'm going to shoot down to 7 next. Because that could cause a dilemma if you weren't ready for it. So we're going to make sure we're okay here on 3. 7, sometimes we're going to get a substitution to do, and there's going to be no number there. Because you're like, okay, that says x equals, let me get this box. And it goes in for x, and there's no number in front of it. So, what's up then? Okay, so 2y plus, I'm going to go ahead and just put the y plus 4 in. There's no number I have to multiply by it, so I really don't have to use parentheses here. So the x will go out, the y plus 4 will go in for it, and now instead of having to distribute first, I can just start combining the terms that are alike. Okay, well, what number's in front of y if I don't see one? 1. So 2y and 1y is 3y. And then I can jump back in and start saying, okay, now I've only got one y term. I need to get that by itself. So just like before, how do I get the 4 out of there? Minus it. Then divide by 3. So you kind of start to see, that first problem when I go through after I substitute, I may have a couple of steps. But that'll get me to my y value, and then again, My second step goes really fast. X equals, wait a minute, I know what y is. Y is 5. So I plug that in where the y is. Write the rest of the problem. Whoops, lost the screen there. 5 plus 4 is 9. 5, 9. Oh, hurry. 9, 5. I may need to edit that out later. It's always x and then y. Okay? Now again, I'm going to help out with a couple on the regular homework, but just to make note of this again, I'm trying to kind of encourage some of you to try and hang on to stuff here. This 6x2 solving by substitution. Note, again, this can be used on quizzes and tests. So you want to keep this in a safe place because you'll always have that example to try and give you a little bit of a head start. So we're going to put this to the side for a moment. In this worksheet that I gave you, what I want to do is I want to do one of the graphing problems up at the top and then just give a couple of hints down below. It's kind of our way of reviewing what we did with this. So like we did yesterday, I'm going to use my colors and I'm going to draw these two lines. Now again, if graphing lines isn't your thing, the graphing help sheet or the solving by graphing sheet that we did yesterday, have that out to kind of give you an example. So for my first equation, 2/3 x plus 4. What's my y-intercept and where do I go? Which one of those numbers do I need to work with first? 4. So if my y-intercept's 4, what direction am I going for? Up or down 4? Up 4. Excellent. Get it out. Yep, up 4 for my first dot. That's my y-intercept. And I always do the y-intercept first. That number that's hanging. No, that is my first dot. I didn't mean to if I did. Yeah, my first dot's going to be up 4 and then put a dot. That's my first one. So then from there, I've got to do my slope. So if my slope's 2/3, what does that mean? Up 2, and what about the 3? Positive number on the bottom is right. So from here, from that first dot I made, I'm going to go up 2, and right 3. Up 2, and right 3. One more time. Up 2, and right 3, but then I ran out of room. So how do I deal with that since I ran out of room? Yep, I'm going to do the opposites on these. So I'm going to go 2 down and 3 left. So I start back here again. Go 2 down and 3 left. Down, 3 left. So basically, I end up with a line just of dots. Kind of cool. Okay, don't worry about connecting dots. Now I've got to do the same thing with my other line. So I've got negative 1/3 x plus 10. Where do I go first? What's my y-intercept for my pink line? 10. Okay, so here's 10. Boom. So if my slope is negative 1/3, what does that mean? Down 1 and right 3. Down 1 and right 3. Down 1 and, oh, sweet. 2 dots overlapping right here. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So what is that point right there? How many, if I start back at the beginning, how many do I go over, and then how many do I go up to get there? How far do I go over on my x-axis before I get lined up? 6. And then how many do I go up to get to the dot? 8. Bam. I'm going to give out 2 quick hints. And then I think we'll be good on the graphing part. For 3 and 4, there's one thing I want to tell you on each. On number 3, I have a y and an x here if you don't see an intercept at the end. Okay, that's just a +0 that I put on. That's letting me know where my y-intercept is going to be. So that's just something to keep in mind. But I'm actually going to do number 4 with you. So number 4, let me get these boxed up here so I know which one's which. Where am I going for my y-intercept in my first equation here? Okay, down 5. That first dot's going to be somewhere on this axis. Down 5, got it out. Okay, what I'm doing, slope? Yeah. If it's positive, it's right. If it's negative, it's left. Correct. So we're going to go 3 up, 4 right. 3 up, 4 right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ran out of room. Now what? Okay, do the other one, which would be down and left. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Okay, not a lot of dots this time, but hopefully that'll get us hooked up. So then I went to the opposite. I did 3 down and 4 left. So I could keep making dots until I ran out of room. And then comes our weird one. Y equals 1. There's no x there. So if you remember back to yesterday, we made a note of this. Y equals, where would I go to get to where y equals 1? Okay, I go up 1. And I put a dot. Now, there's no slope to deal with here. So a line. But remember, when it's y equals, it's horizontal. It's a side-to-side line when I just see y equals in a number. So here I don't have dots. I'm just going to draw a line through it. But I notice when I draw my line through, my line does cross with this dot from the other one. So that is my answer. So how many do I go over and up to get there? Okay. Right 8, up 1, answer, boom. Whoops. There it is. Boom. And the only other thing I'll mention to kind of get you kicking and going here, and no, for those of you who do the puzzles at the bottom, no, the quiz is not tomorrow. I kind of retweaked the sheet and I didn't retweak my little puzzle at the bottom. When you get to the substitution problems and stuff, like we did before, find the ones where you see x equals or y equals right away. Box them up so you know where you're going to be plugging things in. Because when you get to the back, it's the exact same thing going on. These are the substitution problems like we did in the notes, so keep your note close. And then the graphing ones in the back are like the ones we've been doing here. And like I said, tomorrow, just like we did today, I'll have a key up letting you know what answers are. You can check things. I'll have a binder up here where you can check stuff. Get off to that fast start. That's when you can start taking all the doubt and kind of just shove it away before it starts taking over things for you. But even now, maybe even just do 1 graphing problem and 1 substitution problem on your own before you go. Now, if some of you get done, that's great. But if you've got a few to take with, reinforce what you're doing now. Because otherwise,